Hello everyone. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Hope everybody is doing well. I'm gonna read Stargirl now. I'm gonna continue where I left off. I'm up to chapter 12 in Stargirl right now on page 55. Okay, let's continue. This is how Hot Seat went. It took place in the Communications Center studio. There were 2 chairs on stage. The infamous hot seat itself, painted red, with flames running up the legs, and an ordinary chair for the host, Kevin. Off to the side were 2 rows of 6 chairs each, the second row higher than the first. This is where the jury sat. It was a jury in name only. The 12 members did not vote or render a verdict. Their job was to ask questions to give the hot seat its heat. Ticklish questions, embarrassing questions, nosy questions, but not mean or hurtful questions. The idea was to make the subject squirm, not roast. In the spirit of mock inquisition, we called the subject the victim. And why would anyone want to be the victim? The lure of TV, the chance to confess or lie before a camera and before peers instead of parents. But I doubted the usual reasons applied to Stargirl. There were 3 cameras, one for the stage, one for the jury, and Chico. Chico was the handheld close-up camera. According to Mr. Abunu, our faculty advisor, a student named Chico once begged him to be a close-up camera kid. Mr. Abunu gave him a tryout, but Chico was so skinny he practically collapsed under the camera. The job went to someone else and Chico went to the weight room. By the following year, Chico had muscles and the camera was like nothing on his shoulder. He got the job, and he was brilliant at it. He gave the camera his own name. "We are one," he said. When he graduated, his name stayed behind, and from then on, the close-up camera and its operator were a unit called Chico. The host and the victim were each fitted with a thimble-sized clip-on mic. The jury passed around like a hand mic. Opposite the stage were the glassed-in control room, sound insulated from the rest of the studio. That's where I worked, wearing my headset, watching the monitors, directing the shots. I stood at the shoulder of the technical director, or TD. He sat at the rack of buttons, punching up the shots I ordered. Also in the control room were the graphics and audio people. Mr. Albino was there as a faculty overseer. Mr. Albino was there as a faculty overseer, but basically the students worked everything. Kevin's job was to get things started, intro the victim, and a few opening questions. Stir things up if the jury was slow. Stir things up if the jury was slow. Usually the jury was on the ball. Typical questions. Does it bother you that you're so short? Is it true that you like so-and-so? Do you wish you were good looking? How often do you take a shower? It almost always added up to entertainment. At the end of the half hour, as we cued credits and music, there was always a good feeling in the air. And everyone, victim, jury members, studio crew, mingled and became students again. We filmed the shows after school, then broadcast them that night. Prime time on local cable. About 10,000 homes. Our own surveys and said at least 50% of the student body watched any given show. We outdrew most of the hot sitcoms. We expected to top 90% for the Stargirl show. But I had a secret. I wish no one would watch. In the months since we had scheduled the show, Stargirl's popularity had dropped out of sight. Gone were ukuleles from the lunchroom. More and more kids saw our cheerleading behaviors undermining the basketball team and its perfect record. I was afraid the booze for her might spread from the court to the studio. I was afraid the show might turn ugly. When Stargirl came in that day after school, Kevin gave her the usual briefing while Mr. Rubino and I checked out the equipment. As the jury members straggled in, they were not clowning around or tap dancing on the stage as jurors usually did. They went right to their seats. Stargirl was the one tap dancing, and mugging for the cameras with Cinnamon the rat licking her nose. Kevin was cracking up, but the faces of the jurors were grim. One of them was Hillary Kimball. My bad feeling got worse. I retreated to the control room and shut the door. I checked communications with the cameras. We were ready. Kevin and Stargirl took their seats. I took one last look through the plate glass that separated the set from the control room. For the next half hour, I would see the world through 4 monitors. Okay, everybody, I announced. Here we go. I cut the studio mic. I looked over my control room mates. We all set? Everyone nodded. Just then, Stargirl lifted one of Cinnamon's front paws and waved it at the control room and said in a sweetie voice, "Hi, Leo." I froze. I came unraveled. I didn't know she knew my name. I just stood there like a dummy. Finally, I waggled my fingers at the rat and mouthed the words, "Hi, Cinnamon," although they couldn't hear me on the other side of the glass. I took a deep breath. Okay, ready, music, ready, intro. I paused. Music, intro. This is the moment I lived for. Launching the show. I was director. The maestro, I called the shots. On the monitors before me, I watched the program unfold according to my commands. But on this day, the thrill was missing. I felt only a dark dread snaking along the cables. Greetings and welcome to Hot Seat. Kevin went through the usual opening spiel. Kevin loved to be on camera. He was ideal for a show like this, which made good use of a smirky grin and arching. Did I really hear you say that, eyebrows? He turned to Stargirl. Then impromptu, he reached out and stroked the nose of Cinnamon, which was perched on Stargirl's shoulder. Want to hold him, she said. Kevin gave the camera a should I look? Sure, he said. Ready, Chico? Rat. I said into my headset mic. Ready was always first in the command sequence. Chico zoomed in. Chico. TD punched up Chico. The camera followed Cinnamon from Stargirl's hands to Kevin's. No sooner was the rat in Kevin's lap than it scampered up his chest, and darted between 2 buttons into his shirt. Kevin yipped and squirmed. It scratches. He has fingernails, Stargirl said calmly. He won't hurt you. Chico nailed Cinnamon, poking his head out from between the 2 buttons. Mr. Rubino stuck a thumbs up in front of my face. Kevin gave the camera his ain't I something face. He turned again to Stargirl. You know, ever since you showed up at school this year, we've been wanting to put you on the hot seat. Stargirl stared at him. She turned to the live camera. Her eyes were growing wider. Something was happening. And wider. Chico, I barked. Chico moved in crouching, giving it a little upshot. Terrific. Closer, closer, I said. Stargirl's wonder-struck eyes practically filled the screen. I checked the long-shot monitor. She was frozen rigid, as if electrified to the chair. Someone smacked my shoulder. I turned. Mr. Rubino was laughing, saying something. I lifted one earphone. She's joking, he repeated, and suddenly I saw she was taking hot seat literally. She was milking it for all it was worth, and judging from the blank stares of Kevin and the jury, Mr. Rubino and I were the only ones who got the joke. Stargirl's hands were rising, now from the arms of the hot seat. Ready, 1, I called. 1. Camera 1 not there at first, but getting it now. The long shot, nailing her as her hands came off the chair arms, fingers spread wide. You could almost see her fingertips smoking. Hold it, I prayed. Hold it. As her horrified eyes swung down over the side of the chair, the hot seat saw the painted flames. Yikes! Her scream bent instrument dials like palms in a hurricane. The rat leaped from Kevin's shirt. The TV image quaked as my camera 1 man flinched, but he recovered and caught her standing now on the front edge of the stage, bending over with her rear end into the camera, flapping her hand behind her, fanning her smoking fanny. Finally, Kevin got it. He went nuts. 1, pull back, get Kevin in it. Ready? 1. Kevin was doubled up, tipping out of his chair, on his knees on the stage. His laughter flooded the control room. The rat ran over his hands and hopped down the single stage step. The rat, I yelled. 2, get the rat. But 2 couldn't get the rat because the rat was nosing around 2's feet and 2 was bolting from his camera. Chico, rat. Chico dived. He was flat on the floor, feeding the live screen a brilliant shot of the rat heading over to the jury. The jury members scrambling, taking off, climbing onto their seats. Forget the readies. Things were happening too fast. The cameras were dancing, feeding the monitors. I barked commands. TD was punching his button rack like some hard rock keyboarder. Stargirl's pantomime remains the best I've ever seen. Mr. Rubino kept squeezing my shoulder. As he said later, it was the greatest moment in hot seat history. But because of what followed, no audience would ever see it. Okay. So, that's chapter 12 of Stargirl. Take care, everybody. Another video from my Storytime channel.